Hey everyone, welcome to Inkscribes, the comics podcast where we discuss the art and craft of comics. I'm Colin Singh, an aspiring comics artist and a lifelong student of the craft. I'm joined by my co-hosts Eric Zawadzki and Taylor Stauft.
Hey, I'm Taylor Stauft. I'm the artist for the upcoming Dauntless Stories comic, the From Fire and Blood, a Jason Zhang adventure. The Kickstarter under the name Dauntless Showcase Number One is up for pre-launch right now. So do me a favor and go and follow and get notifications when it goes live.
Cool. I'm looking forward to that. But I'm Eric
Yep.
Zawadzki. I'm the artist of Assorted Crisis Events out from Image Comics
Pick it
right
up.
now. Yeah, it's available in stores at this very moment. It's a monthly series, and yeah, I'd appreciate any support picking it up. It's the most ambitious thing I've ever done, and I think it's pretty neat.
It's great. We've both read it,
Yeah,
Colin
it's
and I.
also yeah,
It's fantastic.
also the best thing you've ever done.
Yeah, most definitely.
Assorted crisis events is definitely, especially number five. But anyway, so everybody, today we're going to be continuing our journey through Frank Quitely's early career and talking about Blackheart, which was originally serialized in Dark Horse Presents.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
actually first came out in Dark Horse Presents, but it was also reprinted once a couple of years later in 2000 AD.
Oh,
So yeah, it came out in
Hmm.
1994 in the States, and then it came out, I believe, in 1996 in the UK. This was
hmm.
Frank Quitely's first American work. So I like to think of this as like Frank Quitely bringing his European comic sensibilities to America and telling a very American story. So, yeah, like when you think of the 90s, there's the image style, and then there's also a sort of like anime seeping its way into the industry.
Mm,
But
yeah.
also, you have a little bit of Eurocentric art seeping in as well. And I think nowadays with modern comics, it's all a big jumble of influences. But yeah, had you guys read this comic before this week?
No.
Yeah, not before this week. Like I own Dark Horse Presents 91 and I think 93. So I had the actual like part 1 and part 3 of this complete story, but I had read them but I didn't know what happens until like now. I've actually read the whole thing from start to finish in preparation for this episode. And it's never been collected before either, so
Yeah, it's
yeah.
only ever been reprinted in that Dark Horse Presents in that 2000 AD. And if you look at the
Yeah.
Dark Horse Presents comics, you can see that it was drawn on like a European size, like magazine type format. Yeah, fitting onto the floppy. Um, yeah, I mean,
Just barely?
you can see there's a lot more on the top and
Mm,
the bottom. But yeah, we're actually going to flip through these actual comics anyway. So yeah, there's never been a digital version released, and yeah, it's fully owned by Robbie Morrison and Frank Quitely. So
whoa.
yeah,
That's unusual.
yeah, that was Dark Horse Presents. That was what they were
Oh.
all about.
Oh, that's
The
great.
creators owned it all.
Hmm.
So it first showed up in Dark Horse Presents 91, 92, and 93. I only own issues 92 and 93. Colin owns 91. So, Colin, let's flip through your version of 91, and then I'll flip through
Yeah.
92, 93. Okay, it's got a very cool Mike Mignola cover. Also, just like I'm used to reading this Mike Mignola art
Damn.
fully colored. In yeah, this is the Wolf of Saint
Yes.
Augustine. So this was how it first appeared in the beginning of
Oh
this
my
Dark Horse
god.
Presents comic.
Yeah, I've been robbed.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this came out in black and white. The constant search
I
for
know.
Mignola stuff in black and white is
Yeah, I own the that prestige format, the little thin one shot which collects all this. It's all in color, right? And that's how I first read it. But when I got these, I was like, "Ugh!" you know.
Yeah, I
So
wish they would print black and white versions of Hellboy, but I don't think Mike Mignola particularly likes it being seen in black and white, he considers it incomplete because
Really?
it was always intended
I,
to be seen in color.
wow.
Quick shout out to Doug Wildley, the creator of Johnny Quest.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, if you get a chance, and they're hard to find, but you can find them online. If you get a chance, check out the Comico Johnny Quest comics. He's actually a really good artist, and he gets a lot of really good artists to come into that book as well. It's great.
Yeah. So yeah, here's the beginning of Blackheart. Yeah, Taylor, what did you think of this story?
This really hit me where I live. My dad is a blues fan, and as a result, so am I. This is what I started playing on the guitar when I started as a young boy, and abandoned as a young man. But yeah, this going down to the crossroads, falling down on his knees, like Robert Jansen
Yeah.
says in these voiceovers. It's uh, it's really steeped in that kind of Southern Gothic feel that the blues and weirdly Frank Quitely work so well in.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't even
Yeah.
expecting it, but it is very like the South is haunted. Good luck feel to it, you know?
Are you a big blues guy?
I am, yeah. Well, okay, I'll say I am an enthusiast. I'm not an expert. I know but my very first live concert was BB King. So I
Oh
feel like
wow.
that gives me some cred.
Wow.
Yeah, but a lot of a lot of the references that pop up in this story, I caught as like, oh yeah, okay, that's like either the lyrics that appear, or there are some names that are like clearly inspired by existing blues guys. That like, there's one that I clocked as like, oh okay, that's your version of Screamin' Jay Hawkins. Okay.
Oh. Yeah, I only got half of those
Yeah.
references, but
Yeah, this is for a quick introduction. This first page is a reference to the Robert Johnson legend of going down to the crossroads to sell his soul in order to become the greatest blues man in the world. You go down. The legend
Yeah.
says Robert Johnson goes down to the local crossroads at midnight. A demon shows up, takes his guitar from him, plays it, hands it back to him, and disappears. And from then on out, Robert Johnson is a one of the best guitar players of all time.
and he's also a superhero.
This was a surprise.
Superhero. You think he's a superhero?
He's got a very pulp feel to him. I'll say that.
Yeah, probably more pulp
You know,
hero
okay.
than superhero, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. He seems to be able to. Uh, I don't know. He seems super strong and he's jumping through buildings. But yeah, that's more pulp hero.
It's yeah, because it does feel like part of the bargain he's striking here is, and also I'm super strong.
Yeah.
I take like so in this story, his so Blackheart's feats are to me it's still very grounded in realism. It's not like he's not like lifting up cars or anything like that, right? Like he's just beating the shit out of people. So this deal that he makes with the devil, like you can see the resolve in his eyes in the last panel of page 2 there. But in any case, so you see how the shadow of his hat over his eyes, it shows a real resolve that like he has whatever like deal that he makes with the devil, which is essentially his soul.
Yeah,
He is still just a man, and he gets put to the test throughout this story. He gets wounded and whatnot, so he may not be any mere mortal, but he might be really strong. But I don't think that he's got any sort of superhuman strength. So I still saw him as a very human character through this whole story.
yeah, I agree. I think I saw him as kind of like a kind of like the Shadow. Like, does he have powers? You'll never know. That's not the point of it. Like
Yeah,
they're not going to get into the deep lore. They're getting into kind of the attitude that he has towards
yeah.
crime more than anything.
And you can also see like a lot of the action that happens throughout the story, including like this first fight scene with the around the pool table. It's very circumstantial. It's very choreographed. It's not like there's nothing fantastic that happens. He's not throwing someone, through a window or even like breaking anything without within reason. He's breaking heads, obviously, but it's still very rooted in realism, right? You
Yeah,
can
he's just
liken
kind
it
of.
to the old boy scene, the old boy fight scene with a hammer. It's
Yeah,
still just one guy versus 50, right?
he's just
So
so full
this
of
is
rage that he's unstoppable.
exactly 100%. That's yeah. So
Yeah, his awareness is just a little heightened, and that's probably adrenaline more than anything.
yeah.
I mean, this comic came out in 1994, and a big part of the 90s with comics art was just throwing a whole bunch of lines onto all aspects of the page, onto faces and the body, and um, a lot of those lines were, I guess, kind of pointless in my mind, depending on the
Yeah,
artist.
yeah,
With Quietly, looking at this first face here, every line is there to reveal form, and that's what detail should be doing. Which, yeah, as I stated, that was a deficiency in a lot of '90s artwork. But
Hmm.
yeah, lots of lines on that face, and all of it serves a purpose.
yeah. It's interesting you bring that up because when you say like a lot of lines on faces in the 90s, I have this image of, I think it's Shaft from Youngbloods, burned in my memory of just there's just vertical lines like he's looking through
Yeah.
the slats of Venetian blinds for no reason across his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason was to add detail because I
Yeah,
mean that's what the kids wanted. That sold books. I loved it when I was a kid, so I get it.
Yeah.
But
sure. Yeah, we
this
all did.
looking at Frank Whiteley stuff, it's just a more sophisticated version of that. Like every line serves a purpose, and that's to reveal form.
Yeah, he looks like he's carved out of granite.
Yeah, and
In
so the last Frank Whiteley stuff we looked at was in full color, and so he drew this, and knowing that it was going to be black and white, and so he made very specific inking decisions based around the idea that it would be in black and white. Like if this was in color, he would ink it completely differently. Uh,
Mm,
I think
and
a lot of shapes would be less defined as well. Like he uses a lot of hatching in this, obviously because it's black and white. I think he would have let off a little bit if he knew it was going to go to color.
yeah, like this shadow, for instance, fades away
Yeah,
in a very specific way. He has a lot of knowledge about different inking rendering techniques, and that's all over this comic. And part of me thinks that he's sort of experimenting with every sort of inking rendering thing that he knows how to do before he finally settles like several years later on the very specific type of rendering that he likes,
mm.
because looking
yeah.
at his black and white work around this time, it's like everything in the kitchen sink when it comes to rendering styles, which is very cool to see.
Yeah, even on the second page there on this spread, the suits, they're all pinstripe suits,
Hmm.
right? Like that texture is very well defined, along with shadow too. Like there's lots of shadows in play, but like the light hits it at a certain way that like you can just see the lines coming down. It's pinstripe, right? They're all wearing
Yeah.
really fancy
Yeah,
suits.
and Frank Quietly, when he designs a lot of characters, he does like to put strategic lines on like superhero costumes that he designs, or outfits that he designs, or at least he did. Like on X-Men, for example, a lot of characters had vertical lines on their costumes, specifically because I think looking at his work, he is very concerned with revealing the form of a figure, and there's no better way to reveal the form than having lines all over them.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's a good way of filling out the volume of a form.
What do you think of the how the billiards are handled here? Because during the fight, a billiard ball is sort of hit, and so these balls become sort of oblong shaped to create that.
They remind me of egg yolks running around, scurrying around egg yolks.
I like them because it's. I think it's an animation technique, squash and stretch, to you elongate the
Yeah.
figure to kind of give it the
Yeah.
feel of movement. Which he could have done blurs again, I guess, but it's an interesting choice to be sure. I think it felt like, and you pointed this out earlier, Eric. This is. It feels like this is the place to do experimentation, especially for an American comic. Like, what do you guys want to see? What exactly are you into? Let's find
Mm.
out.
Yeah, and this fight scene is very clear, and I think that's another thing he's concerned with is like clarity. And yeah, for the first two panels, you get full figures pretty much. You can just sort of glance across the page and understand everything that's happening, which you can't always say with every action scene. And you can't really say that probably necessarily with his earlier action scenes that he's drawn.
Hmm. Once again, he he does the thing that I am terrified to do, just leaving blank spaces.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He knows exactly when it's needed, when to put detail, when to pull back. But also,
Yeah,
like, I don't know what the deadline situation here is, but there had to be a lot of thinking about like saving time in order to meet these deadlines.
sure. Yeah,
But yeah,
but
there's like this page on the right here, there's a lot of examples throughout this three-parter of characters standing in a void, I guess, a white space.
yeah,
Mhm.
And it looks great. It makes for a very
Yeah.
aesthetically pleasing page in my mind.
it.
Actually,
Yeah, there's something about it that once again reminds me of I can't believe I'm bringing this up so often on these episodes, but on there's something about especially that right hand page that reminds me of Little Nemo and just that general era of comics.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know if he had read much Little Nemo or if he was even aware of the
I
work of Winsor McKay.
I think that he was all about Windsor McKay in this period. I see it all over the place, and actually,
Yeah,
the bottom panel of on the left side, where it shows the Empire nightclub, that entrance scene, like the way he's drawn the bricks. You could say, like, just like Gustav Doré, how he uses the straight lines to define form. This actually reminds me more about like R. Crumb and those guys. Like it's very rough in a way.
right. Yeah,
Like he you can still
yeah.
see that
I
they're
see what you mean.
unmistakably bricks, but like he's channeling this reality in your head that you can see, where like you've seen form like that, defined by
Yeah,
light in
they're
It's
some
got an
way, like
old
a very
school
rough
Illustrator
bricks.
vibe.
yeah. You've got the rough
Yeah,
hewn feel of and with like
yeah.
there's ledges and parts of it that get hit by light and parts that don't. Yeah, that's a good call.
Well, even the fire bell in the top right corner there, like just the shadow underneath the bell is like, because it's a metal bell, so it's shiny, it reflects light, but the shadow underneath, it's like a reflective shadow. It's reflecting all around it, and it's kind of defined by lines. It's not a
Mm,
stark shadow. It's not just a straight black shadow. There's still some light
yeah,
stuck in
there's
there.
the
Yeah,
yeah the curvature of the design causes
yeah,
light to disperse that shadow. I also
yeah.
really like how he does reflections. It's not what a reflection looks like, but it's a good representation of it.
Oh yeah, and
Absolutely,
that's
yeah.
something he does frequently here. I think that's less about reflection and more how he differentiates between foreground and background.
Yeah, that
Because
I
you'll
guess that's what
see
I mean.
all throughout this short, he, I guess he has a very solid line for foreground, and then kind of how would you call it, like a an incomplete line or a messy
Yeah.
line for background elements. And yeah, for instance, like our main character Blackheart in panel 1 on that second page, completely black.
Mm.
His outfit is completely black, but when he's a background figure in that second last panel, it's just a series of lines sort of emulating black through with as if there's like an atmospheric effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a fog or like a faded memory type feeling.
Yeah, and that's like all throughout this short. But I mean, also it kind of looks like he's using a pencil line. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
It
that
looks like
struck me.
the foreground is ink, and then the background is pencil, and then like he's anticipating the bad reproduction from the printing process of like
You
pulling
know,
his pencil line and like creating that effect.
I'll say though, holding it like in print in your hand, so that second to last panel on the right page, the foreground figure is very nicely printed, well, like in stark black, and there is an actual fade in the ink for everything underneath. So the word balloon and the figure are actually very, very stark black, and then underneath is just the slightest change. It actually looks like it's pencil and not ink.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Wow. Yeah. How do you?
Same with the last panel there. So the head is very stark, like very black, black, and the word balloon, and then everything underneath. There's like it's just little. It's like it's not black. It's like a dark, dark, dark gray.
Just like little ticks or a complete tone shift?
Like like a pencil line
Oh, okay.
almost. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice to ask him because, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it is ink, and he just
Mm.
like specifically inked it in a very scratchy way. But check out that hand holding the poster because the detailing on it is there is a sort of gradient as the light on the hand is in the center, and then as you get to the edges, that's where the shadow is. But the the specific way he renders gives a skin texture, like when you
Hmm.
look up close on your skin, like what is that called when the cracks in your skin or whatever, like that is how he's detailing that hand.
Yeah,
And
pores
yeah, it's just
and
a
folds and
yeah, just a very sophisticated way of rendering. But yeah, and you gotta love these like hand drawn signage. I'm not sure if it's lettered by Clem Robbins, and I'm not sure if Quietly did those signs or if that was the letterer. But yeah, I'm not sure. And Colin, you're all
Uh,
about size relationships, so go to panel 4 and
yeah.
look at the size of that hand that he's holding his
Yeah.
girlfriend, or yeah,
His lover. Yeah.
yeah. Those are some giant
Yeah. I'm
hands.
all giant hands, but it's still in proportion to his head. Like your hand is the size of your face, right? So
yeah.
no, it works. It works for me. Yeah,
Oh no,
it
yeah,
doesn't
and
look weird.
I'm just saying
It's
on
very
her,
admirable that.
like it's great
Oh
because
yeah, of
like it
course.
shows how small she is compared to him, and like the size of that
Yeah,
hand really sells
yeah,
that.
yeah, 100%. But overall, it's acceptable.
I did want to bring up the costume design for these government goons. I love it. It's exactly what I don't
Yeah,
know if they're supposed to be super powered, but it feels it. But whatever it is, it feels like whatever asshole designed them. It's like based on 1930s football uniforms or something,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
like with the
Reminded me
high
of the
waisted
American
pants
flag.
and. Hmm?
Yeah,
Yeah, but it feels like the design that the 30s would come up with for it feels period specific. Like it feels appropriate for the time. Like when you'd
yeah.
see like Captain America serials. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those, but you can get screen grabs of the old serials, and they just look just atrocious because they don't know
Yeah.
how a costume should work, and they're like, ah, well, we don't have any money, we don't care anyway, and that's still and that's kind of what
mm,
this feels like. It's like we only made it out of
yeah,
wool and end of list.
yeah.
Yeah. I love the shoulder pad though, because Frank Whiteley specifically adds those two lines going vertical and horizontal to sell
Yeah,
how round they are, so
yeah,
that it's
Yeah.
unmistakably round no matter what angle you see it at. Which goes to what I bring up often is he loves putting grids on rounded forms, because I
yeah.
guess he sees how round this is and he's really trying to sell us on how round it is. How about this night shot?
Holy shit! Yeah, that's ugh,
Yeah.
ugh. That's the
And
sort of
it
thing. Go
I mean,
ahead.
it's almost like more beautiful because he's the previous pages were very sparse, and so
Hmm.
it just like hits you like a ton of bricks when you see this.
Yeah,
There's got to be like endless photo reference for a shot like this, whether it's from old time America or Scotland or Ireland or wherever there, like canals and things like that. Uh,
yeah.
like that's what that makes me think of. Like the cobblestone roads, not just the brick buildings, the cobblestone roads, the water, the boats, everything.
The
This
little
one,
tracks
this one
leading
point
into the
perspective
stone.
shot. You know how many
Yeah.
wannabe photographers have just found a shot like this and taken it? There must be millions of photographs out there like this.
Well, and this just reminds me of like those old school illustrators, and like this is one panel in this 6-page story, and you know uh, something like this, somebody would spend a week doing, but like, yeah, he's throwing it on there just for one panel for us to breeze over, right?
But so
Hmm.
much is put into it too. I
Yeah.
love the way the light of the moon is cascading down from
Oh yeah.
underneath it. That's the sort of thing that, as a stupid youth, I would have been like, "Meh, that's dumb looking. It's so overlapping."
Yeah, you
But
think so?
now, oh, I definitely would have thought that's stupid. But now that I see it with a much more with a deeper education and a greater appreciation for quietly, just like, fuck, I can't believe he did that. I would have walked away. That's what I'm that's what I probably would have responded to when I was younger. And now I just think, oh, I gotta up my game. I gotta level up. I gotta get to this level here. This is too good. And the reflections and that blood, come
Oh
on.
boy. Like
Yeah.
he could have drawn those cards completely flat and it
Mm-hmm.
would have been a lot quicker, but for some reason he got it in his head that he's going to curve those cards.
Well,
Yeah,
because
like
they're skewered,
every
right?
yeah, but he didn't have to curve them. It's just like everything he does is, I guess, like he takes the most challenging way about it. He doesn't hack out anything. He
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it's a rounded card, and then you also get the reflections of the rounded card. Like this is
On the gradient of the
Well,
reflective blood that
yeah,
is affected by moonlight rendered in black and white lines.
but
just
also
amazing.
that the cards, the way they bend like that is from being shuffled like endlessly for
Ah,
like
that's what it is.
hundreds
Thank
and hundreds of games.
Yep.
So he's got the deck of cards that have been used over 100 times,
Yep.
1,000 times even, and he's just discarding them like they're nothing. And he's obviously they just killed those patrons in the previous page, right?
All those
So
goons.
like he's just tossing them aside like they're nothing, and even though there's so much history there, you know.
Yeah, and like that goes to the amount of thought he puts into every little aspect of this comic. Just like everything you outlined
Yeah,
there is you know not necessarily something that you would automatically come up with, but I guess he puts in the time.
Yeah.
But
Which
but
people give him shit for taking so long, but I think he always claps back with, if you want good work, you got to put in the time. So you either like it or you don't.
yeah, and his stuff will stand the test of
yeah.
time, unlike 99% of the
Yeah.
comics that come out. But yeah, so here's Dark Horse Presents 92 and 93, and now we're kicking Colin's hands away, and we got my dainty artist hands to look at.
Man, I really missed out on the glory days of 90s comics and just how weird they would be.
Yeah, like too
God.
much coffee, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like, is that a good idea? I don't know, but I'm glad somebody got to find out. You know, I wish I
Well,
hadn't
I
come in.
I'm glad it
remember
wasn't me.
remember seeing Too Much Coffee Man plugged on
Yeah,
what was that TV show, the Anti-Gravity Room. Like they covered a lot of like
yeah,
indie comics and mainstream
yeah,
comics, and I remember them
yeah.
interviewing what is it, Andrew Wheeler? I think he's a New Yorker cartoonist now.
The Anti-Gravity Room with DJ Phil?
Yeah, did you ever watch that,
Yes,
Taylor?
No, but damn, I wish I had.
Oh, you can find episodes on
it was great.
YouTube, and they're
It was
amazing.
great.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
now. Damn.
Yeah, a proudly Canadian show.
Yeah.
but they really did the research too, and they covered a lot of stuff that was that if I hadn't watched the show, I wouldn't know, because outside of the show, it was Wizard Magazine or the Comic Buyer's Guide, right?
Yeah,
A couple of publications through the actual shop, so it's not like wide media, right? But they opened my eyes to a lot of different stuff outside of the big two, outside of superhero comics. I explored a lot more comics through that show than anything else.
yeah, definitely. Me too.
Canadian media, I tell you, it's full of gems.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think of this three-page sequence introducing part two?
Yeah. So the first page, this is part two now, right? So this is the first page of part two. Even though this is his first American work, he's still bringing a lot of like this new age or European storytelling mentality to it. Like this is a lot of the things that he did in Shimura and in Missionary Man. Again, A to B, left to right, three panel shot, but it's all one panel, really. It's just a passage of time, right? Like, how often do you see something like this in American comics, or at least back then in the 90s? I mean, now things are getting more innovative, but back then, this was like, huh. Like, at least when you looked at it, you would actually take it all in because you see what's happening and you're interested in it, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I think Neil Adams did stuff like that quite a bit. So, but not as like a one point perspective shot like this. This is like a very European approach to it, which like I explained on the Tomb of Dracula episode. The what I see is the difference between the American way and the European way, taken to extremes, which is that there's a lot of close up shots in American comics, a lot of like cropping of things, whereas with European comics you see the entire room and you see full bodies constantly. Like this page is a perfect example of that. Even on panel 4 here, we have a whole bunch of full figures. But the first three panels here are interesting because uh, you would think it's three different timelines, because one is them making love and then it's the morning. But I guess it's two timelines. I'm not sure what the thinking was here, because like one is at night and then panels 2 and 3 are in the morning.
I took it to
But
just be like it's just a progression of time. It was like it was last night, then it was the early morning, and then she gets up.
yeah, and it just makes the page more interesting to cut out that panel 2, to have that panel 2 like be a part of the gutter space.
Yeah.
Well, and it focuses on them, right? Like those that the body posture of both of them. Like you can't read, I can't read what the captions are saying right now, but I have a feeling about what's going on here, right? There's definitely some tension between the two, and I think if you had all of the lines on in panel 1 and 3, that would get lost.
Yeah, and I keep on hitting this, but uh, this feels like old timey like illustration, like the Golden Age illustrators. It feels like that a scratch board kind of effect, like
Yes, yes, like
Franklin Booth.
I'm trying. Yeah,
Mm,
when you
yeah.
say old time, like golden age of illustrators, who are you thinking of? Who is?
Oh, I'm primarily thinking of Franklin Booth, which
Okay.
I highly recommend this book. But yeah, he used a lot of like a scratchboard, and that's the feel I get from this, which is appropriate because it's a period piece, right?
Yeah, I figured that's what they were going for, right? It's like this is how it would have been reproduced, or how photos would have been reproduced in newsprint at the time, right? Like it's photosensitive chemicals on plates that wear away lines or dots depending on the intensity of the chemicals, and then it just gets stamped.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, as I said earlier, there's just a whole bunch of rendering techniques that he's playing with. And
Hmm.
here's another one in panel two, which is what would you refer to that rendering as? Sort of, it's like that screen door effect, patches of screen door. Uh,
It's well, but if you look real close, it's a lot squigglier than I would have thought. So it's kind of, you know what it reminds me of actually is Akira. It's there's similar stuff used in Akira.
oh, really?
I think, yeah, because I was just looking over it, over volume two, and there's a lot of jackets that have that kind of effect. It's
Oh,
lessened,
okay,
but
yeah.
it is that kind of like, it's squiggles, it's filigree, it's interlocking wiggly shapes.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure what it's actually called, but it's like, yeah, again, it's like patches of like a screen door effect,
Hmm.
one beside the
Yeah,
other. And
Which
then,
does a great job of
you see
giving
that a
a
lot.
feel of shadow descending over them.
yeah, and then like on the last panel of this first page, we get that effect again, but foreshadowing something about his lover.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you see, so this is something I want to bring up is in part one, he really defines the bricks with that hatched look. And now in chapter two, he's making the decision to define shadow and form in shadow with a lot of texture, with a lot of hatching, a lot of this screen door effect, like Eric was saying. And then when it comes to the bricks are actually very sparse. He outlines the bricks. He doesn't add any detail to any of the buildings or anything like that because he's putting it all towards the darkness.
Hmm.
He's
But
defining
he
form in the
draws
dark because
every
there's a lot of
brick.
darkness in the chapter.
But he draws
Yeah,
every
but
brick.
he doesn't do the texture of the brick, right?
Yeah.
He makes he's communicating that there's bricks there, but he's not actually like taking the time to put the texture of the brick in, right?
It is
So
a subtle
he's
balance,
saving
yeah.
that for the darkness.
Yeah, because it could easily get too busy, but he's chosen the right size of bricks to frame the darkness, but not overpower it or distract you from it.
Yeah, your eye goes straight towards the black. So I'm used to quietly working with Grant Morrison and with Mark Millar, and when he's working with those two, we're getting like 5 panel pages, maybe 6 panel pages.
Hmm.
So it's interesting seeing this '90s stuff when he's working with a whole bunch of different writers, and yeah, you get like 7, 8 panel pages.
Yeah.
So he finds different ways to work with that, and a lot of that is creating a lot of open white space. And yeah, it's very interesting looking. It just looks very appealing to me. And I do a lot of experimenting with like every issue of Assorted Crisis Events is something new. And I saw this and I said, in a future issue of Ace, I need to somehow, for an appropriate issue, whenever that issue shows up, I want to play around with this type of layout where you have a lot of wide open space like this.
Because what's really interesting about this is he has not really set up the space that they're in. He hasn't quite set up the. I think this is called a juke joint, and it's you don't have like, this is the space, this is where the stage is, this is where the bar is, these are the tables. It's just kind of trusting. You know what's here. You get it. They're on
Well,
a
and
stage.
and there's a good reason for that. Like the script he was given for that particular page requires dozens and dozens of figures. And
Oh,
so, you have the entire band, you have everybody in the room dancing, you have the promoter introducing them. um, at the beginning you have the trumpeter, and then he exits, and then they introduce the rest of the band. So there's just so much character stuff going on that there's just no room to create an appealing looking page and also introduce the background.
yeah.
The second page here is like really giving me like P. Craig Russell vibes with the storytelling. He does a lot of that.
Oh yeah.
He'll close up on a hand or a face that's giving one line of pivotal dialogue, and then he'll move on to like a group setting or like some kind of establishing shot of a cityscape or whatever the room, the environment is, and then back to like two characters interacting. And if there's a lot of things going on at once, he'll focus on one thing per panel, and it ends up being like a 10, 11 panel page. Uh, but that's kind of what this is with the musical notes and just one instrument player playing, and then focusing on like everybody else in the second panel or the third panel, like that sort of thing. Yeah, that's. I don't know if Quietly had any P. Craig Russell influence himself personally, but that's kind of what this is bringing to me.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, and like on that second last panel there, you get another example of the way he illustrates the foreground and the background elements differently, because
Right.
that
They get
background is
really,
just like super squiggly, super loose, and
yeah.
then the foreground is very tight.
Which is the sort of thing, young artists out there, that is the sort of thing you should do. I have definitely fallen into the trap of trying to over render things in the background. Don't do it. Don't even start. Just accept
well,
things that are far away.
well, you
They're
could
not
over
different.
render
What are you, some kind of
backgrounds, but it has to be
unhinged?
case by case basis.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of. Actually, it's something you pointed out to me. You're like, you clearly zoomed in and drew these, and then zoomed out. Don't do that. And I was like, and I've
Yeah,
internalized that.
yeah. I mean, that's something I will maintain that all artists who work digitally need to do is stick with 33% zoomed in or
Yeah.
50% zoomed in. Stick with one and then stay there, because like it is distracting and very obvious when, I mean, it looks like two different artists were drawing it when you have a super zoomed in drawn background, and then the figures are less zoomed in on when they were being drawn. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a recurring thing. Which there is one artist I really love that was traditional, and then the first time he did digital, he did that, and it drove me mad because I was like, your work is so good. Why are you this? I don't like this at all. And then on his follow up work, he stopped doing it. But
You just
yeah,
gotta get called out once for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But moving on, we get the antagonists showing
All
up,
right.
and they have poisoned the crowd.
Now, this is where I'm going to flex my history degree just slightly. Our head villain here says that this poison is derived from mustard gas. Here's the antidote. There is no antidote to
Yeah, I
mustard
did find that a
gas.
Yes,
little
I was just gonna
odd.
say. I thought I was like, wait, it's mustard
there is
gas, though, right? Is there an
there's
alternate universe
absolutely
mustard gas
nothing.
which is less lethal? Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could
Well, I'm
claim,
glad you.
well, it's
Okay,
derived from, but
because I
no, because mustard gas is not
because
actually a gas either. It's just a highly aerosolized liquid.
Well, I mean, I guess he's
it
saying it's
sent me
a
down a mental
derivative
rabbit
of the
hole, man.
mustard gas.
Yeah,
So that's his like way out of it, I guess.
Right.
I guess.
But I mean,
Watered
yeah, it
down.
just seems like um, mustard gas was a thing of that time. So, you know,
Yeah,
gotta drop
true.
that
Like
reference.
a lot of guys came back from France, real fucked up from it. So I guess it does carry even to this day the specter of like that's real danger. You gonna die.
Well, I was even thinking there's a line where he's talking about how within the first hour you go blind, and then within 2 hours you're dead, and all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, so is it like a watered down mustard gas, or because those
Right.
effects are actually immediate? As
Yeah.
soon as you're exposed to it, that starts to happen. So I guess they'll just moan on the ground for the rest of the story, and then they'll just give them the cure at the very last page. No.
Well, this is a great action sequence, though. I love it. What do you guys think of that second to last panel? Well, actually, the last two panels on the left hand side.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. What do you think of it? Where
Well,
where
because I
he's
would,
putting his foot on the guy's head?
yeah, but it's like he's like
He's
winding
stepping over
up
the guy.
all to do that. All just to is he stepping over him or is he winding up to press his foot down? Because it
No,
Yeah,
seems
I
yeah.
think
weird to me
he's
that
starting to
that the
run
guy who's
away.
about to stomp isn't there.
No, that seems more
What was
more
that?
like a stride. That's a stride. To,
Hmm.
and he steps over the guy's head, right?
See, this is the thing: is I can't. It's difficult for me to tell. I had to go back and read it
No,
and go several times to kind of get what was happening. But
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it is interesting because like there's a perpetual movement. So on that last panel, when he's stepping on the guy's head, he's also like continuing the walk, I guess, because his other foot is
it's
continuing
up.
the movement.
Yeah.
So I mean, I love this so much because like even looking at the gas canister, like there's just so much motion that's being portrayed here, and yeah, I mean, it
yeah.
definitely looks interesting and a little odd, but yeah, he's just selling that motion.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It has the feeling of like off to grandma's with a picnic.
And yeah, this blimp is just amazing how it's like backlit and he's got this like
That is
grading
one of my
effect.
favorite shots of the whole story. Yeah.
What's great is that he's only got black and white to work with. And there are certain techniques you can do to simulate gray. And if you just squint at this blimp, if you see it from far away, it looks like there's gray being utilized. But no, it's all black and white. It's just ink. And yeah, he just knows what he's doing when it comes to these techniques.
Yeah. And an appropriate use of his volumetric grids too. That's like we think of because we don't see them anymore. Thanks a lot, Hindenburg. We we don't really know much about blimps, but they're quite rigid. Like they're gigantic metal frames with the gas bags inside. But this makes total sense, especially for him to be able to like, no, see, you can see the superstructure underneath. This is, and he's able to give you that feel of, damn, that's a fucking blimp.
Is there an alternate history where Hindenburg didn't blow up his blimp and then we still have blimps in use to this day?
Well, I should say the Hindenburg is named after Paul von Hindenburg, the president of Germany and uh, a field marshal of World War One. But yeah, probably because they, that it was just such a catastrophic disaster and so public that it effectively killed the use of them.
It's the same thing with like nuclear power plants where there was like three really bad incidents and then we just stopped. We didn't like decide to like improve the technology. We just said no, it's too dangerous. Stop.
I have seen the theory that it is those. Well, it's Chernobyl and Three Mile Island because Fukushima comes much later. But it's those two coupled with Homer Simpson and putting into the public's idea into the heads of the public. Any idiot could be running this. You don't know.
That's amazing. It was like
Wow.
the worst PR.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we get a spectacular fight scene here, which I like quietly would do this slightly differently nowadays.
Flipped.
Nowadays, he would portray the action left to right. I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure, because yeah, you always want your action hero to be moving left to right, which is the reading order of the page, because that's like the goal is to move forward. You could argue, I guess, he's like moving against the tide.
But it does feel incongruous. Like you can see this even in, like if you watch Lord of the Rings, all the characters are, especially Sam and Frodo, they move from left to right. They
Yeah,
don't.
that's just a
There's not
general
really a
storytelling
shot.
rule.
Yeah, there's never a shot where they're going the other way. But yeah, I think you're right. Nowadays, he would flip that.
But it's a very cool choreography, very clear, and yeah, this is basically the comics equivalent of a hallway fight,
Yeah,
to use like a movie reference.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
I did a hallway fight myself when I drew Eternal, and it's deceptively it's deceptive in how difficult it is. Like, you look at this and it's a bunch of standing figures, but it does take a tremendous amount of effort and work to choreograph it properly, to get every figure posed in the exact right way.
Make sure, audience, to check out Eternals by Ryan K. Lindsay and Eric from Black Mask. Check it out. It's great.
Yeah, I think so.
It's
Although I will say
fantastic.
that I put all of my time up front on those that hallway fight sequence, and then I ran out of time, and so there's a lot of TLC put into some pages and less in others, and
Yeah,
that's
well,
just the
you're going to
nature
cut
of
that part. Just go buy the book.
Yeah, you're gonna cut that part for sure. And
well,
yeah,
but that just goes to like how much work it is. But
Yeah, because I would imagine there's a lot of, especially with multiple opponents in a fight, there's a lot of thought has to be given to what they're doing, like how they're reacting to the fight that is occurring. Like the guys on the far right side or the far left side of that panel, they have to, huh? What's going on? Turn around, start moving forward. It's because you don't want to run into the problem that you see it a lot in like Shaw Brothers kung fu movies where people just like, it's not my turn yet. Okay,
yeah,
now
yeah,
it's my turn.
yeah.
yeah. I
He's
mean,
prancing around the two guys fighting,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then they
exactly.
jump in.
but like in the third panel, he's kicking someone, and that person's reacting in a specific way, and then in the next panel, he's kicking in a different way, and that person's reacting to that kick in a very different way, and so basically, it's easy to do one punch, but can you do multiple punches and multiple reactions to each of those punches? And yeah, he's doing multiple punches and kicks all throughout this. And on the next page, you even get him like grabbing a fist and then twisting him around, and then he does a headbutt from behind.
Yeah, revealing that's a mask he wears.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
For
I
this
guess
whole time, I thought that was just like I thought it was a Phantom Stranger sort of thing where it was just
just
it's just
Shadow.
yeah. But no, he's got a mask, which I think is what ultimately makes me think of like a pulp hero, which are typically
Yeah, the Domino mask.
yeah, which are typically like regular guys just going, well, I can clean up these streets. I don't have to pay attention to civil rights or whatever.
Now it is kind of an illustrator no to cut the figures off of the shins, right? Which he's done in these first couple of panels. Yeah,
Yeah.
generally you want to avoid that. And I know that is a rule, but what I don't know the reasoning. What it just feels
It's
wrong, I guess. But
I think that's what I've been told is you don't if you're going to cut off extremities it should be like midway through the upper leg because otherwise reader's the viewer's mind is constantly trying to fill in like just that little bit that's missing rather than a huge chunk where it's like, oh, okay, I already know what's there.
okay,
But I think it's just like a quirk of human psychology that you get distracted by just little bits of the body being obscured.
Mhm.
Yeah, and again, like modern quietly would not do something like that. But yeah, they bring out the guns and he ducks for it. So and then we get a really cool shot where he runs out of the building and jumps over rooftops. And then
I
actually
am.
it ends on a cliffhanger where he's jumping for the rope. Will he catch the rope?
It's a literal. Yeah, it's the urban literal cliffhanger. I'm almost certain I have seen him use that 3-panel structure again in Pax Americana that he did for the Multiversity.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean there was a lot of like
Mhm.
three panels taking place over the same background, which is like
Well,
yeah, he
but
does
also that
often.
jump with a coat and land and roll and
Oh, with like
Right.
with the question or
yeah,
yeah.
or the is that who it is? Yeah, yeah. And but I mean, if it work when it works, keep using it.
Yeah, I mean it's very very cool here. And look at the size of that blimp compared to him. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, so that was the end of part 2. So, what else have we got in here?
Night drive in the night.
So yeah, here's Dark Horse Presents number 93. Now in this one, yeah, again, like before the Blackheart short, we have a write up by Bob Schreck, who was the editor on this book.
Oh,
And
cool.
interestingly, in this, he talks about creator ownership and how everybody who does a short in Dark Horse Presents owns it completely. So Frank Whiteley still owns this, but he does mention that. What does he say? He says, I hope you've enjoyed Blackheart as much as I have. I assure you that Rob Morrison and Frank Whiteley will return to these pages for further tales of this enigmatic character. So there were plans for more
Ah,
Blackheart, but it never happened.
I would love to read a 1930s black pulp character. That would be great.
Yeah,
Just goes around two-fisted problem solving.
yeah, which is interesting when you see this story as a whole, with him and his lover and everything. Like, I guess there were plans for more. Maybe this was
Yeah,
set up, but yeah, were there going to be different bad guys? Or was this his primary antagonist throughout?
man, you could do so much with it too. You could do this is the primary antagonist. She's like the overarching antagonist, but other goons and ghouls are inspired by him and this squad of mercs or whatever they are. Yeah, you could have done. You could have done so much.
Yeah, this first panel looks like an old 1930s photograph.
It
It's
does.
it's just so detailed in its
Yeah.
rendering and just a great composition. So yeah, and again evoking the golden age illustrators.
Yeah, love that top-down shot too. We were talking in the previous Quietly episode that you can see him starting to do it, and it feels like he's getting a better feel for the top-down human figure, which I still personally struggle with.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's
Every
definitely not
shot
an
of the
easy thing to draw.
I think every shot, every drawing of the blimp is like my favorite drawing of this whole thing. Every time he draws a
Yeah.
blimp, I'm like, oh, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Colin is a blimp fetishist.
Yeah.
He just wants more blimp.
I mean, we could all use more blimp in our lives. It's yeah, it's that bottom panel on the right side. It's great. Straight
And
out of the Hindenburg.
straight out Hindenburg. And here we get to see the interior of the blimp, which, yeah, I mean, I guess I've seen a lot of blimps, but I don't think I've ever seen the interior.
I think it's this. It's like a lot of catwalks.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
lot of because it's full of like 4 big helium bags, mostly. But that's the sort of thing like they've been gone for almost 100 years. So we really have no concept of them outside of what last Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and up.
So I mentioned earlier that we get a lot of different ink rendering techniques all throughout this, and yeah, you get a situation where he is inking the space around fire in a very specific way. He's doing an inking technique for a propeller where he gets this wobbly line, and he has multiple approaches to inking smoke, all completely different lines to how he inks the figures and everything else. And yeah, he's just got a vast array
Yeah.
of skills when it comes to inking various objects. Like the smoke rendering on, I guess, that second page, panel 2, is different than the smoke rendering on the last panel.
Yeah, it's a lot tighter on that last, or it's a lot more
There's
busily
a lot,
rendered, I guess.
yeah, there's just like shorter lines closer together, whereas
Yeah,
yeah, it's just interesting.
which does give it a different feel, right? The smoke on, say, the bottom panel of that page, on the left hand side, right hand side, left hand side. Um,
Mm.
it feels more open, like it has somewhere to go, but on that final panel, it's enclosed, it's tight, it's I don't know, it's wadded together almost.
And I love the wobbly line on the side of the door. Again, like he has an organic approach to his line work when drawing backgrounds, which is something that I try to put in my own work. It's something I love because too much use of a straight edge can make things look very stiff. And
Mm.
yeah, I mean this door feels like a man-made object, basically.
Hmm.
But yeah, and I love that open space around the door.
Now we got more smoke effects coming in this next page, like in four panels on this one, the first page,
Yeah.
and it's just more and more defined. He's using again a different technique, you know, more hatching, more darkness, more light hitting the tops of the blooms.
Yeah. It's getting just so much more closer and caustic almost.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I love how the bullet singes his hat, and then that part of his hat is like flapping a little for several panels after that.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
like it feels like a, you know, feels like a real life object. Yeah, yeah, it's just very cool. Like he puts so much thought into how everything is affected by all these actions. And that's the key to a lot of this stuff. Is just the amount of thought he puts into everything.
Yeah.
the
It's
last two panels of the first page are like they remind me of like Sin City's Marv. Like he
Oh
says
yeah,
even in his dialogue, he says, "I ain't going to die today." And in the last panel, you see he's smiling because this guy doesn't stand a chance.
yeah.
He's going to win no matter what because he can't die, right?
so
He's
he's
Blackheart,
taking
goddammit.
bullets. So he is a superhero, isn't he? like how's he
Well, it's
taking all these
revealed at
bullets?
the end. I'm just saying, yeah, it's revealed at the well. Marv was a tough guy, wasn't he?
No, no. Well, I'm talking about our
He got
conversation
shot in
earlier
the head.
when we were debating
Yeah,
superhero versus pulp hero.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, one leads to the other is the thing, right? Like you can easily read the first appearance of Superman as a pulp hero, but because of
right.
the design, it just becomes, and the quick expansion of powers, he just quickly turns into a superhero. Again, that's one way you could read it. You can also read him as definitely the first superhero, but just the when you're when you're starting a new idea, you don't have it to refer to. You have only what came before to refer to.
Yeah.
So you're using previous languages to inform what you're making now. And that'll change, but
Mm.
to begin with, there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and is the smoke getting tighter and tighter and more detailed as we go? Because on the very last panel we see here,
Oh, it's just filling the room.
Yeah, and it's got a again like a very different rendering than all the other ones that we've seen before. Yeah. So this we see his wife, or sorry, his lover, I guess, died and came back as a demon. I guess.
She
Or
made
she
her
was
own
trans.
deal with the devil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
So she's,
that's
yeah,
what gets
as a singer,
revealed
right?
at the end.
Yeah. What do you guys think of this big reveal? Like, all she takes up is the top corner left panel. Like the panel for the big reveal is right at the top. Obviously, in American comics, that would have maybe been a half page, or at least the top part of the page, a wide shot, something like that. But here we just
Yeah, I
keep
mean,
going.
there's
Yeah.
not a lot of
It's just
room.
another.
There's so much going on that there's
Yeah.
not a lot of room. And it might have been intentional to be as like a big surprise that makes you do a double take.
Yeah, I read it
Mm.
as a transformation that you're because it his look is getting more extreme as things go by. Like the way Quietly renders faces, he doesn't shy away from big expressions. So if you're not really paying attention, I think you could pass over that first face of hers on the right hand page as like, yeah, okay, yeah, she's wait, what's going on? Like she's angry, but there's something weird. Wait, and then the second page, she's even stranger, and then by that bottom panel, oh, okay, she's not human anymore. Um, which is how I read it. It's just kind of like, "Mwah, you thought I was just some woman, and now it turns out no, I'm much more."
Yeah, and
But also her
I
her hairline slowly like recedes panel to panel into like just the
Which,
top knot.
yeah,
yeah, it's
which
very
I think
animated.
I kind of
I love
glossed over it when I first saw it.
Yeah, but I love seeing him do stuff like that. Like there's
Yeah.
in New X Men 116, Wolverine's arm gets kind of not blown off, but the all the skin and muscle gets burned off, and it's just the bones. And then out over the next couple panels, slowly it heals back. Like he's got a really skinny arm, and then slowly it fills out. I love it when he does stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's great at the progression of well, we've talked about it before. He's great at movement and the progression of time.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he thinks like an animator.
He does, yeah. He didn't go to animation school though, right? That's not
I don't
that's not where
believe
he went.
so. I think
Okay.
he's just a trained illustrator, but actually, I'm not. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not 100% on that.
Although I wouldn't be surprised if, in illustration school they made him take an illustration
Yeah,
class or something.
and just
Like,
learn the
Mm.
principles
yeah.
of animation at least. What do you think of the
More blimps.
on the? Calm down, Colin. Calm down. What do you guys think on the left page here? The last panels, the grid of panels at the end. Like, what is that? What
I
is that
was gonna
supposed
ask you
to
guys,
be
what do you guys
saying?
make of that? Yeah,
My theory
I
is that
was
it's
gonna ask
supposed to
you the
be like
same
a
thing.
choppy ride. He's experiencing a very choppy ride, which is the blimp slowly falling to the ground. But yeah,
Oh,
I'm not sure. What do you think?
I I read it as the windows of the little the carriage underneath the blimp that he's
Oh,
inside.
I guess that carriage wasn't established enough. I guess we've seen a lot
It's
of blimp shots, but have I
Yeah,
seen
the
that?
first panel.
you can see it, but it's
Yeah,
pretty
if you go
obscured.
back,
Yeah, no, I see it now. Now
go
that
back. It's
Taylor's
the
brought it
first
up.
panel.
But you're
Mhm.
right. Like it's not well defined, and it's not like much action takes place in there.
Yeah.
Because I think nowadays he would have pulled out to show like, oh, I went from the when he kicks open the door that you were talking about that has like that organic feel. I think he would have pulled back nowadays to show he's now in this room that is in this space on this blimp. But
Oh,
this is
okay.
kind of the first time we've gone outside.
Or at the very least, in the second last panel, we would see him as a figure in those windows.
Yeah, yeah. But it is. It does give that feel, that choppy feel as well. The only reason I thought of it was because the next shot, but
Yeah, so
that
now I get it. The next shot is his view of where it's about to crash.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't quite get that, but yeah, that makes sense now. Because it's weird because like it was confusing at first because it looks like something had already crashed into that, but it's actually just like a bridge that's being built. I guess it's like a half built or a pier. What is that? Yeah, I guess it is a pier
That's a
of some
good
kind
question.
that the thing crashes into, and that's his view of like where it's going. And then we get a big
Yes. Yes.
kafoom.
Yeah. 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 It's yeah. It's like it's being slowly built together. I think. Yeah.
And then I guess his demonic lover reverts back to normal by the end after they've crashed.
As we all know, demons can.
So these two are basically immortal because they survived this crash. What is the whole deal? Like he sold his soul,
Or
Colin?
unkillable, just unkillable. Right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
supernaturally unkillable.
Yeah.
So wait, yeah, what's the deal? They both sold their soul for power rather than for
Well,
musical
in
abilities.
uh,
Or
well,
both,
they
because
have
she's a
those too.
singer.
She's a singer, and he's a yeah.
Okay. So it's in addition to the music, they also are unkillable.
Yeah. I mean, although it's weird because you don't see any reference to, like, it's just kind of okay. So she must have also sold her soul. Did she also go down to the crossroads? Is that is that what happened? But I guess she's not, because she's introduced quite late.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. What does she say? Where was
You'll
that
have to be
line?
more ruthless, Johnny. The creatures we've become can't hold on to ideals like that. They'll kill you.
Oh, but wasn't there a reference to why she did it? You weren't the only one to make that deal, Johnny. Where we came from, it was all we had to bargain with. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I took it as they're black people in 1932 America. They're just looking to, at the very least, to get the power to not be hurt again, because it opens up with a lynching, a
Mm.
KKK lynching.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, very cool final shot, which I guess was supposed to be our introduction to a recurring new pulp hero.
God damn, that would have been
But
cool.
this
Yeah.
is the
Walking away
last
from
shot of
explosions.
Blackheart.
It's always
Yeah.
great.
Token
It's always
badass
cool.
exit. Yeah.
Now, what I love about the burning playing card is there's an easier way of drawing that, which is just to draw the flame and to not have any detailing of the singeing part of the card. That part can all be white, and you can just figure out that it's a flame. But this feels like he did the research. It feels like he went and like burnt a playing card to see exactly how it burns.
Is it
It's
curl
just
and
that
yeah.
specific. And yeah, like you get that specificity with Quitely's work. Everything feels well thought out. Everything feels yeah, specific and detailed and perfected.
And consistent. Like that feels like the same blimp throughout. Would it, because there's, I assume there are different models of blimps, and it feels like he didn't just go for some kind of. I mean, nowadays I would easily fall into the trap of blimp and just grab images as I needed them. If you're not careful, that can happen. But that feels like the same make and model of blimp each time, regardless of angle or height or whatever.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he must be some sort of prodigy when it comes to this stuff. And on this page alone, going back to the several different ink rendering techniques that he employs, we have the orchard he's walking towards, and they're very scribbly in the
Mm-hmm.
rendering. We have the
Yeah. I was thinking.
rendering of the water. We have the rendering of the smoke, and then in that last panel, in the far background, we have sort of an atmospheric effect rendering. And
Mm-hmm.
then we have the rendering on the blimp, and all of those ink rendering techniques are completely different. He's constantly changing it up,
Yeah.
and he just has like a vast array of abilities that he just deploys, like, and just makes it so easy.
Yeah, in this case, you see it environmentally, but like I brought up in the last episode, between for the cover for Missionary Man, the gunmetal to the glove to the skin of the wrist to his coat sleeve, like they're all just planes of like 3D planes of just vast texture terrain. Everything's
Mm-hmm.
fully realized.
Yeah, yeah. The water feels like water here. Leather feels like leather on Missionary Man's coat. Like there's never any kind of confusion as to what the material
Yeah,
this world
Yeah,
is made out
the
of
wood
is.
texture on here as well in that
Oh
second panel.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's just like it feels like every project he draws, he's just showing off.
I also really like the use of that squiggly rendering technique on the orchard as a way to demonstrate just how bright and blown out
Yeah,
the light source from that Zeppelin fire is.
yeah,
Because that's not like a complete, but when you look at it, you can tell. Oh, okay, so the tops are kind of blown out, and where the sky and the thinner leaves up top meet, they're not quite as distinct. And yeah, it's a great effect to give you an idea of just how bright and hot that flaming blimp is.
yeah, very cool. So yeah, this was Frank Whiteley's first American work, the first of much to come, which we will cover in a lot of future episodes. Um, Basically, we're going to try and go work by work, comic by comic, to cover his
Ooh,
entire catalog,
can't
which might
wait.
take a long time. But
So
yeah,
stick around.
did you guys do some art this week?
I sure did.
I
Yeah,
didn't
what
do
you
anything for the quality stuff. No.
All right. Let's see. Where did I get this? All right. So, given my affinity for the blues and Blackheart being a blues man himself, I decided to recreate the one of the only photos of Robert Johnson, uh, who he is inspired by, uh, with Blackheart. This
Oh,
is a
that's wicked.
thank you.
There we
Oh
go.
yeah, very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, those legs, man, son of a bitch, and I'm still not happy with them. But I am quite happy with the rendering of because like, the original takes place in just it's like a he's sitting on a box with just fabric draped over it, and then like a sheet hung behind him, which is really my main focus, trying to get that feel of this is not a glamorous shot. This is just the bare minimum of what he needs for whatever record that this is going to go out on.
Oh, very cool. So
Cool.
you're happy with this one?
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, yeah. I think the crossed leg is a little too small, but well, what are you going to do? You know. Overall, I am happy with the general composition. Robert Johnson, uh, I guess, inaugural death of the 27 Club, shot by a
Oh
jealous
wow.
husband.
Wait, what?
Shot by a jealous
That's one
husband.
way to
That's how he dies.
Oh wow, he was a ladies' man, eh?
He sure was, and yeah, he only his career only lasted 7 months, but I mean, he's still
But we,
influential today.
yeah, you know his name, so.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, shall we close it out?
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.
Cool.